How do you make $2 million a year working 5 hours a week? I'm not running around and I'm not really, really smart. I'm just not doing most things that people say I need to do because I haven't found proof that they make me money, and I'm willing to say no to 80% and just do the 20% that do. If you figure out those things, that the 20%, and then you apply Parkinson's law, reverse engineer Parkinson's law, and give yourself incredibly short deadlines to force yourself to do the 20% in even less time, because it forces you to focus. You don't lose quality. You actually get stuff that you get really to the point, and you stop doing the frivolous stuff. So it almost helps you identify the 80%. And that's how Pareto's principle and Parkinson's law work together.
Are you building a hobby or are you building a business? And that's why the name of this show is Grow Your Video Business. Not to spend more hours, but to be smarter, to serve your clients so that you can build something that helps solve problems. And the sooner you can help solve a problem, the sooner you can help them with another problem or another client. The longer I wait to launch this thing, the fewer people I can serve.
It's not the craft that makes you win. It's not who's best at the craft wins. That's not how this works. Yeah. It's who serves people the best. And how do you do that? Well, to your point, you got to ask your clients and prospects what they want more than anything and make your solution give them that, and then serve them as powerfully as possible. And if they don't like your solution or the way you're doing your solution, or you're taking too long, then adjust and pivot and say, okay, well, what's meaningful to you? Is turnaround time more important to you?
What's up, friend? Today's episode is part reunion, part masterclass, and part how did we get here? I am catching up with my longtime buddy, Graham Cochrane. He is a best-selling author, he's a business coach, and he's creator of Rebel and How to Get Paid for What You Know. We dive into what it really takes to build a business that is profitable, fulfilling, and actually sustainable without burning out or selling your soul. Here are 3 things that you're going to walk away with. Number 1, how to stop chasing every opportunity and finally double down on what's actually working. Why so many creative entrepreneurs burn out, and the mindset shift that can keep you in the game for decades. And the 4 types of time every week needs. Spoiler, one of them is rest, not more hustle. Buckle up, buckle in, get comfortable. Here we go. What's up, friend? Hey, welcome to this episode of the show. I'm super excited that you're here. I'm Ryan Coral, your host of the Grow Your Video Business podcast, and this is a special one. Always revisiting with old friends who inspire me, who even coach me and encourage me, all of that stuff. This is a real treat for me, and I'm just really happy that you get to be here as Graham just is always challenging the way that I think and inspiring me in my business and in life. So it's going to be good. If you are brand new here, make sure that you check out this workshop where I've taken 20 years of running my own video production business, wrapped it up into a masterclass for you to benefit from. Don't make the same mistakes that I am. So check this masterclass out. It is my gift for you. You can go to studiosherpas.com/workshop and check it out there. And I think that's all I have. So I'm super pumped that you're here. This is going to be a great one. Let's roll the tape. Here we go. What's up, my friend? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. Today with me is a previous guest, someone who I just admire so much. And he's just a cool dude. Just your most epic intro ever. Graham Cochrane, founder of the Recording Revolution, also grahamcochrane.com. He's a best-selling author. I've talked about both of his books on this show. He's a speaker. He's a coach. He's been a friend of mine for a bunch of years. He helps business owner find or make more money, find margin and meaning in the work that we do. And I think that's probably why we just, when we first met, I'm like, this is a guy who cares about the stuff that I care about. Money, margin, and meaning. Those are great pillars. And so just super pumped that you're back here, Graham, and excited to get some time with you today.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. So selfishly, we're just catching up on this episode as well, which is fun. Right. So hopefully we'll steer it in a valuable direction. to the listener, viewer, but I'm glad to be here, buddy. Love what you're doing. It's an honor.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was one of the text messages that was back and forth of like, hey, like we need to catch up, but let's get you on the show and we can catch up there, and then we'll have part 2 shortly thereafter. So here we are. You all get to benefit from Graham and I hanging out. I think one of the best things, you and I spent some time. We had that little like mastermind, 3-person mastermind for a little bit, which was awesome. I loved that time that we got together. And then shortly thereafter, you launched the, was it the 6-figure mastermind? Is that what it was called?
You were part of the Epic Mastermind. Yep.
Epic Mastermind.
Yep.
So that, man, being a part of that group of people that you cultivated and that's, I think, probably my favorite thing about working with a coach or a mastermind facilitator or whatever is the people that are your, I don't want to say like not biggest fans, but the people that just resonate.
Yes.
With the things that you teach and your values. Like that's typically, I think, for most people who they end up coaching and working with. And so to be in that space with all of these brilliant people, successful in their own ways, man, that was, I don't know if we were in that group for a couple of years or whatever, but I was very nervous about joining a weekly mastermind. I thought, how in the world am I going to find the capacity to do this? And shortly after joining, I was like, how am I not going to find the time to make this happen? Because it was so good having you at the helm, but then these amazing and gifted people that you brought in the room. I've learned so much. I mean, so much of, I think, the success of my business today, a lot of that has come from the stuff that you've taught, but also just lived out and have helped other people live out. And to be able to brush shoulders with all those people, what a gift to be able to experience that. So thanks.
Yeah, man, you were a huge part of that. That was a special group.
Give us, you've written, your most recent book is Rebel, also How to Get Paid for What You Know. Just love the way that you think. And I'm challenged, I think I've challenged. I've messaged you multiple times like, dude, I've, bought so many of the things, but I still, your podcast is killer. Like you just bring the best goods to us. In the current state of your business right now, like what are you doing? How are you spending time? Where are you most excited in the work that you're doing today?
Yeah, man. I mean, all of last year for me was getting the second book, Rebel, out to the world. So I wrote it in 23, launched it in 24. And that was a beast of a project. It was like a 5-month long marathon of a book launch. But the goal was to hit the USA Today bestseller list. And so we did, which was great. I got outbeat by Bluey. Bluey has a couple of books on the list that week that crushed me, and a few romance novels. So I might have to shift my niche if I want to climb higher on the bestseller list. But but that was a huge win last year, and that was most of my focus, honestly, of last year. Outside of a lot of the podcasts and then coaching private clients one-on-one, I decided to go exclusively focusing on one-on-one private to help really successful entrepreneurs like solve interesting new problems. And I really wanted to learn like how they think about those problems, how I could solve it. And so that was a lot of last year. And then this year is a lot of bringing some of those discoveries more public, both on the podcast for free, or as Myron Golden calls it, community service content. Like it's not free, it costs your time, but like a way of serving people like you do with this show, but also to my private clients now, to a group. I launched a group this year, the Effortless Business Accelerator. Like I'm really interested and excited about helping people build sustainable businesses, right? So I think Steve Jobs of Apple said it best that business is a game of attrition, meaning whoever doesn't die out wins. Like you just don't die. All the businesses are going to eventually collapse. They're going to screw up some way. If you could just stay in the game long enough, you win by virtue of being the last man standing. And so then that begs the question, how do you stay in the game long enough to win? Because most businesses don't. And it's not by being the best business. It's in a way because there's lots of good businesses or even great businesses, but it really kind of goes back to the founder. And then if there's a big team, then the culture and all that kind of stuff of sustainability. And so I see a lot of founders, even if it's a simple one-person business or a team of 10 or 20, where the founder is burning out it could be a variety of reasons. They just feel like they need to work harder than everybody else. They feel like they need a new strategy or tactic because the old one isn't working. Everything shifted, or the economy shifted, or they've never learned rhythms of rest, or they believe in the toxic hustle culture, or whatever it is. A lot of times what's happening, Ryan, is, and maybe you felt this because you've been in business long enough to see the ebbs and the curves and the waves, is it takes a lot of effort to get something off the ground. And that's exciting when you're young and hungry for it. But if that's all you ever learned is pushing, and that's your one strategy, then at some point when you're 10 years in, 5 years in, 20 years in, and you're already exhausted, and all you know, the only lever you have to pull is to push harder, you'll crack. And that's why you see you big YouTubers, like, where did they go? Big podcasts disappearing, brands that were great disappearing. There was nothing wrong with the brand in terms of the problem they solved or the solution they offered or the product. The founder burned out, took everything down with them. And I say that you're either going to explode or you're going to exit if you don't make this shift from the way I look at it is effort-fueled businesses will eventually fade, but energy-fueled businesses flourish. And there's a big shift. You have to go from effort to energy to build a sustainable business. That's what I'm excited about right now.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I wrote down 2 notes, Parkinson's law and batching. I think, as you in the early days of your podcast, kind of sharing the success that you had with Recording Revolution, how you really built this business and you weren't working 5 days a week. I mean, you were the first person that challenged me with this idea of, hey, I'm going to work Monday through Thursday, because somebody challenged you like, well, you don't think God can take care of you and your family if you only worked 4 days out of the week and 5 days, who says that you 9 to 5, 5 days a week? That's the thing. So that's when I started taking Fridays off. And then the pandemic happened, the next year. And I was like, maybe I need to work on this other side business and make this legit and whatever. But I'm back to this rhythm of Fridays for me are very much restful and I get a lot of energy out of that. But this idea, Parkinson's law, like giving yourself parameters and saying like, okay, I know that the things that I need to do in my business, there's this list that of ever growing things that will never be completed. But what could I get done in 1 day, or what can I get done in 4 days? And what can I get done in 7 hours instead of 9 hours? And really just trying to make this thing work. And so since working with you and spending time with you, I spend 3 days of my week working in my production business. And I spend 1 day a week working in this Grow Your Video Business Studio Sherpa's work. And, you could easily say, well, Ryan, if you put all your eggs in one basket and really built that out, maybe instead of having a business that's barely 7 figures, maybe it could be multiple 7 figures, or, maybe you could work less if you just focused on building the one. That's not where I'm at right now. I've got, I'm kind of juggling the two, but I have bandwidth, I've got capacity. Mm-hmm. And I attribute that so much to this idea of Parkinson's law that you've shared with me, idea of batching. We typically, not today, but usually once a month on Thursdays, we'll do 4 or 5 podcast episodes, just once a month. And then I don't have to think about it the rest of the time. So just speak into that, the concept of, you're running a service-based business, as a filmmaker, and there's, whether you're solo or you've got a small team, there seems like endless opportunities to market yourself. If you're not actually doing the work or selling it, well, then you should be, creating endless reels, hoping that something sticks and goes viral and whatever. So it can feel like we're always on, and that's where we lose energy, and it just becomes about effort.
Yeah, so good. So, the great news is that the reality is that most of what you're doing isn't generating much revenue in your business. Which means then the other best news on this related to that, the other side of the coin, is that a small part of what you're doing each week is actually leading to the majority of your revenue. And so your job, number one, as a business owner, especially in a service-based business like in the video space, is you got to figure out what is that 20% of the things you do every week, day, week, or month, because some tasks are only monthly or whatever. What are the 20% that actually drive 80% of your revenue? This is Pareto's principle. And so step number one is to figure that out. And what I'll have clients do is first, because most people don't really know this. They think they know it. They might be fuzzy. I think it's probably this, but they don't know it. So you got to figure that out. I say, write down everything. You want to be depressed? Write down everything you do every day.
You want to be depressed.
How's that for
that sounds like a great idea.
Here's a great Instagram hook. Want to be depressed? Oh, keep watching this reel.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is great. Save this. Share it. write down everything you do daily, weekly, or monthly in your business currently that you do. And that alone is homework assignment number one, because that's going to take you a while. Just bullet points. Because for me, like I post YouTube content. Well, that's not one bullet point. I got to ideate a video. I got to record the video. I got to have the video edited. I've got to upload it. I got a thumbnail, title. What's the you got it. So each one of those is a bullet point. If there's a client, is it follow up? Is it invoicing them? Is it whatever you do on all sides of the business, sales, delivery, the craft, marketing? Just see everything, because step one is to see it all and then make yourself sick, realizing there's a lot that you do, which might only validate what you're feeling like, Graham, this isn't helpful. But it should be helpful to see like, this is too much. And if I look at, let's say there's 50 things on that list, could be hundreds. Let's say there's 50 things that you do regularly. Well, then that means 10 of those things are really the ones that matter, most likely. So you could all, to me, that's encouraging. We could whittle this thing down and in theory only do if we could figure out what are the 10 that really make revenue. And this is where, like you mentioned, social media and reels posting. I just saw a post you're supposed to post 5 times a day on Instagram. I'm like, okay, certain businesses maybe, but here's the filter.
Yeah.
Does this activity put money in my pocket? Like, be brutal. Does this put money in my pocket? Now, obviously, some things are like leading indicators that will eventually lead to money, but don't start there. Start with, what are the things I do this now, money comes in my pocket? It's probably like sales calls. It's probably like closing that deal that's been open, like just follow one more time. It's probably like send the invoice and remind them, need this paid. Like that literally puts money, whatever it is. What are the things that put money in my pocket? And then the things that you're like, well, this is important. This is air quotes marketing. That could be posting reels. Okay, prove it. Put a gun to your head. Look at the thing. If I do this, does it make money? Can I prove it? Can I see the paper trail? If I don't do this, do I lose money or not make money? Can I prove it? If you're unsure, at the very least, it can't go in the green light like this 100% is the top 20%. You just don't have any proof. Maybe there's some proof and you just need to get the data. And some businesses, 100%, when they post, they make money. That's the business model that they're on. But most of us, it's not. And so the good news out of all this bad news is most of what you're doing doesn't really matter. And that's good news, because you could stop doing a lot of it. Or if you feel like it is necessary to the business, like, well, I need this admin stuff, or I need that. Okay, well, then that doesn't mean you have to do it. And now you're starting to think differently, like, okay, if this is it necessary? If it's not, eliminate it. Just let's cut 4/5 of what we're doing and make virtually the same amount of money. And now you got a lot more margin to double down on the things that do make money. If you can't eliminate something, automate it. There's more automation, there's more AI, there are more tools than there were even 15 years ago when I got started that could do the work for you at a fraction of the price of a human. And then the very last things that are necessary, but you don't need to do or want to do because they don't require your face, your voice, or your unique skill set, or you just hate it. You can't eliminate them. You can't automate them to a bot yet. Then you hire, then you delegate. And that's how you think about it, so that you're making sure that you're doing the highest level of activity for your business that puts money in your pocket, which most of us, that's what we should be doing. Unless we have a very big team and then we're just like sort of CEO, like managing the people that make the money. Most of us are the money makers, the rainmakers in our business. We should just take that stuff back up. And it's probably the thing that you like too, in a lot of ways. Like if you really like the craft, then go sell the craft so you can do more of the craft. It's relationship building, whatever it is. But this gives you permission to stop doing 4/5. I'm not fast. That's not how I clock it. It takes me about 5 hours a week to run my business, unless I'm just doing new things I want to do for fun. 5 hours a week. It's not that I'm really, really fast. And for context, I generated $2 million last year. So how do you make $2 million a year working 5 hours a week? I'm not running around, and I'm not really, really smart. I'm just not doing most things that people say I need to do, because I haven't found proof that they make me money, and I'm willing to say no to 80% and just do the 20% that do. And to your original point, you brought up Parkinson's law. This is the last thing I'll say. If you figure out those things, that the 20%, and then you apply Parkinson's law, which is that work always expands to fill the time you give it, well, then the beautiful thing that Tim Ferriss taught me about that is then reverse engineer Parkinson's law and give yourself incredibly short deadlines to force yourself to do the 20% in even less time, because it forces you to focus. You don't lose quality. You actually get stuff you get really to the point, and you stop doing the frivolous stuff. So it almost helps you identify the 80%. And that's how Pareto's principle and Parkinson's law work together.
Dude, I love that. I think that, I've shared this struggle with you for the longest time with, so many of the people that get into the visual arts, filmmaking, storytelling, there's this feeling of we want the work that we create to move people to make a decision or to feel differently about something. And so we want it to be, in a sense, beautiful. And we want it to be more than just another video, right? Because anybody can make a video. So as a video production owner, like I need to be able to help people understand why we're different than just, somebody pulling out their iPhone and shooting something, anything. Where I think a lot of us get stuck is perfectionism, is excellence, making something that isn't our best work and delivering that to a client feels like, oh my gosh, like I just cheated them. We could have made this look way better. We could have made it sound better. There's so many things that, we could do. But then that mindset also bleeds into other areas in our business. Yep. Where our website needs to also have the same feeling, in our marketing. Like I can't put out an Instagram reel unless it's cinematic and it's got sweet transitions and sweet text coming in and motion design and all this stuff. And then we end up not doing so many things because it's going to take so long, or we do just a handful of things, but it doesn't move the needle. I spent all this time creating a sweet Instagram reel that gets, 200 views, but no money in my account, no new clients. So I don't know if we become addicted to excellence and just trying to make every part of our business, when this is probably one of my favorite things about you. And I know I poke fun at you, especially in the early days of your video quality. I'm like, dude, your videos are not that good, but that's not what it's about. And you would hit me over the head. Like, dude, it's the content. I'm showing up every single week. I'm doing the thing. Sure. It doesn't look as, fancy as your videos, but and you didn't say this, look at the numbers. I've made a lot more money than you, Ryan. So get off of this idea that everything has to be a 9 or 10 out of 10. Can you speak into that at all? Because I know a lot of us are just like, how do we reconcile that?
What a great insight and question. So this is the even more unique challenge for you and your listeners, because you're in the arts. You are creating something beautiful. So you're craftsmen and craftswomen and design, and you have an eye for beauty. And so this is going to be even harder for you. But this is such an important question. Here's the question for you and for the listener. Is this a hobby or a business? If it's a hobby, then spend as much time as you want and make it as beautiful as you want, because that is the win. That is the satisfaction of I made something so beautiful. If it's a business, then the question is, AKA you need to make money, you need to make profit. If it's a business, then the question is, what is the purpose of the business? Okay? So it depends on what your worldview is. As a Christian, my worldview is the purpose of anything, but especially my business, is to glorify God and serve people. So does this bring glory to God? Well, any kind of art brings glory to God, because that's what we know about God. The first thing we know about him is he's a creator. In the beginning, God created. That's the first thing he tells us about himself. He's a creator. So, okay, great. He's just like us. We're creators. So it's creation beautiful? It's going to glorify him, especially if it's an honest business and it's beautiful creation. Does it serve people? Well, then that's a really interesting question. Because am I in business to serve myself or to serve my clients? If I'm in business to serve myself, then take as much time as you want to make it as beautiful and as perfect as you want it to be, so that you are satisfied. But I don't think I'm in the business of satisfying myself. I'm in the business of satisfying my clients or customers. So then I have to ask, well, what would satisfy them? What do they want? And they probably want some level of quality, because they hired you and they have a professional standard. But there's a reason why they want your video help. It's probably for a bigger outcome. They probably don't want the video just for the video. It's either for marketing assets so they make more money. It's for capturing a memory. It's for getting a movement out there into the world for their nonprofit. I don't know, but that's what you're selling. You're not selling the video. You're not selling the services. You're selling the outcome. So the questions should always center around, how can I give them what they want? And then reverse engineer from there. So to your question, obsessing over how beautiful this video is that you're delivering as the asset or the Instagram reel, it's so easy to get caught up in that because we're the craftsmen and that's what we like to do. But again, we're not playing. This isn't a hobby. This is a business. So really, we're in the business of giving our clients what they want, what they need, faster and more efficiently and with better communication than the next person. And that's the way you have to take off the craftsman hat at times and put on the CEO hat and say, this isn't about just increasing value to the shareholders, which sounds very cold. This is about serving the clients. And they don't care that they don't know the difference between your 99% and your 90% or even your 80%. Like, and you'll be able to discern whether it's like a real high-end client that's like, I want this very specific thing in the video. Okay, well then that's what serves the client. But most of the clients want a level of quality that they see with your portfolio, but they really want that video to do something else. So you sell them that to A, land the gig, and then B, make sure you deliver the video that gets them results quicker, and don't take forever on the video because they want the video now, because they want the result now. And they, again, it all goes back to what's the purpose of your business? Is it to serve you or is it to serve them? And reverse engineer from that.
Yeah. We just get, I think we get confused. We've gotten confused because we get into this business not thinking like, oh, I can solve these businesses problems. We get into this work because it's like, oh my gosh, I get to make stuff and somebody's going to pay me money. And then so it becomes about us making the thing. And we spend all the energy and then we're like, well, let me get this new lens because I'll get better depth of field and this light, this will make this look cooler. But our clients, you know, they're not saying, well, can you shoot that on the red instead of a Canon? Because, you know, unless it's an agency, most clients that we're working with, they just want, they want it to feel professional. Yep. and they want it to deliver this to get them the result. So if we're not asking the question on the front end for a client, like what's success for you in this project? We're going to do this video. You're going to put it wherever you're going to, you know, 6 months from now, 12 months from what is going to make you want to come back and do another one of these projects, and listing out those things like, man, if we got, you know, 5 new clients from this would be amazing. If we grew our email list by 10,000, that would be a huge win because we know that that's going to equal money down the road. When you're asking those, if you're not asking those questions, then so much of the success, quote unquote, becomes like, to Graham's point, like we're serving ourselves. We're trying to create something that we're going to be proud of. And I love that attitude, but are you building a hobby or are you building a business? And that's why the name of this show is Grow Your Video Business, not to spend more hours, but to be smarter, to serve your clients so that you can build something that's sustainable. You can build something that's predictable. You can build something that helps solve problems. And the sooner you can help solve a problem, the sooner you can help them with another problem or another client. And I think that's been another takeaway, you know, after getting a lot of time with you. It's like the longer I wait to launch this thing, the fewer people I can serve with that thing.
Bingo. You see how it all comes back. It's such a great insight, Ryan, because this helps just clear everything up. If it's about you, it probably is about you if you're having these questions, and that's normal. Welcome to my life. Like we're self-oriented without even realizing it. So this is a big light bulb for people when they realize, wait a second, business is about serving people. And we'd all say, yeah, I want to serve my clients, because I think most people here have a heart to serve. If they follow you, they have a heart to serve like you do. But it's like, but is that reflected in the way you're obsessing over these things? But this really should take off a lot of the burden, because here's the great news. You don't have to be the best filmmaker to win in your video business. The best filmmaker isn't the one that wins. It's not the best craftsman that wins. This isn't an award show for who makes the best video. This is a business for who serves their clients the best. And that's why if you've ever found yourself being cynical or resentful of someone else's work, why are they doing better in business if you know their business? I do a better job than them. Their videos suck. Did you see how they're coloring? Whatever it is. And you know you've had it. Because I come from the music space. My first business, I would judge musicians hard. And I would get judged hard. When my first business blew up on YouTube, in the recording space, the music space, I would have super fans that would be super mean to me without realizing it by saying, Graham, did you see what so-and-so said about you in this Reddit forum? I'm like, no, and I don't want to know what they said about me, but they would link it or screen grab it. And I would see people saying, who's this Graham guy? Like he hasn't recorded and produced music from any celebrity that I've ever heard of. I don't know who his clients are. Like, he's a nobody. And I've got clients that are bigger and I've got this or that. Why are people paying attention to his videos? Why is his business booming? Blah, blah, blah. And I will admittedly, and to this day, say I am not the best music producer. I'm not the best business mind. Like, that's not the point. The point is it's not the craft that makes you win. It's not who's best at the craft wins. That's not how this works. Yeah. It's who serves people the best. And how do you do that? Well, to your point, you got to ask your clients and prospects what they want more than anything, and make your solution give them that. and then serve them as powerfully as possible. And if they don't like your solution or the way you're doing your solution, or you're taking too long, then adjust and pivot and say, okay, well, what's meaningful to you? Is turnaround time more important to you? Is multiple formats? Because sometimes we give people a lot of stuff they never asked for. I'm going to give you this format and this format and this format and this. They don't care. Just give me the one. I don't have to look through all the videos and pick what's the best one. I don't know what's the best one. You just give me the one. Like, I'm just making stuff up, but I'm a normal person that if I worked with video people, I wouldn't know. But don't make me call your videos. I don't know what's better. So they probably want simplicity. They probably want fast turnaround time, and they probably want someone who holds their hand along the way and acts like Jay Abraham would say, a trusted advisor more than a salesperson, and saying, hey, what's your goal? Oh, your goal is to sell more of your service or your product. Okay. What do your customers need? What are your customers' goals? So now this is getting real inception. Like, you're asking your customer what their customers need or want if it's a business that you're serving. And then, okay, well, how can we create video content that serves your customer? And now they're like, oh my gosh, I'm getting like business advice from my video person without even asking for it. And now you stand out, not because you're the best craftsman, but because you're serving them more powerfully than most people will. And the good news is most video people, most creatives, most web designers, most musicians and producers they're 99% craftsmen, 1% business. That's why the E-Myth book was so helpful and popular, because people are like, I'm really good at the craft. I'll go into business for myself. And they realize I don't know anything about business. And they wonder why they can't take off as a business person when they have such great skills and acumen in the craft. And this is how you can separate yourself, not by even having to be a great business person, just be obsessive about serving your person, your clients, more than you are obsessive about the craft.
Yeah. I think one of my biggest takeaways from last year, I was winding down 2024, and I was like, I sent you a Voxer about this, where, we've been striving to deliver 90, 100%, 10 out of 10. Like, I just want our work to be amazing. And I had multiple people shaking me throughout, probably the longest time, and be like, dude, like, nobody cares. They care. Like, businesses that are hiring you, they care, but they don't care about this stuff the same way that you do. So the extra hours and energy that go into going above and beyond to make this video a 10 out of 10, your client is actually happy with it being at what you would say is a 6 out of 10. For your client, from their perspective, this is like an 8 or 9 out of 10. That just has rocked my world and helped me realize that and what I'm not saying is like, okay, like, we're just going to do crappy work from now on. Because in my mind, a 6 out of 10 is like, wait, what? Are you serious? We just did this whole series of videos at our studio. The local Chamber of Commerce, they've got these like people under 40, 20 people are receiving awards. So we had them come in and do this, like, everybody got a 15-minute slot, and it was the easiest shoot. I mean, people were in and out. I watched what my guys had done, and, they're shooting up against a white cyc wall, and they've got some nice music, and they did all these like quick little like intros of each person, where the person's taking their suit coat, putting it over their shoulder, looking at the camera, just doing funny stuff, and they put it in slow motion and like speed ramp, and then it cuts to their quick like soundbite interview thing. Dude, this was like, it was such an easy project for my team. Like, the amount of time and energy that went into shoot it and to edit it, it's like one of the, like, I'm looking at how many hours we've spent working on this and what the value is for the client. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we are, but it's like the simplest, like, it's not documentary style. It's not like nobody's tearing up watching these films, but for the chamber, this is serving a huge purpose for them, a huge goal for them to be able to put the show on and have this, these nice videos and whatever. I'm realizing I'm warming up to this idea that we don't have to create, if I got hired to do a documentary once a year and pour myself into this piece, that I would get so much fulfillment out of that, instead of feeling like every project needs to be that. Because when I look at how profitable we are on projects, we're way more profitable on the things that are simple, streamlined. I don't want to say 6 out of 10, but like, they're not these cinematic masterpieces, but they serve a purpose for our clients.
You bring up a great point, which is, especially if you're in this kind of business, you're going to have the clients and the jobs that bring in all the bacon and make and pay all the bills, pay your team. Like, you probably is going to be your core thing. You want to learn how to do that fast. You want to learn how to do that where people feel like they're getting more value than they paid, like 10 times the value. And it's not in the cinematic quality. It's in the experience and the communication and the deliverables and you caring for their outcomes and their goals. That's going to pay the bills. If you get better at this stuff we're talking about, you'll make more money, have more profit, not just get more clients, but you can start to raise your rates because people like, he gets it done faster. You know, it's like the whole meme of like, oh, I know a guy who can do it for half the cost. And it's a picture of two guys making a brick wall and it's all sagging. And it's like, yeah, there's always someone cheaper. It's not, at the end of the day, people don't want the cheapest thing. The right clients want faster, better communication, better experience. They want someone they can trust and be like, okay, I found my video girl. I found my video guy. And that's, so if you can get your rates up, profit up, and then you can actually use Parkinson's law, 80-20, start doing less, stop fiddling around with social media or make it as streamlined as possible. Like now you have half your time back. Let's say you're doing this in 20 hours a week because it's very possible. Like all my clients, my goal is let's double your revenue and work 20 hours a week or less. And so for most people, that's cutting their work hours in half or more. Like if you do those things, well, now you've got, and if that sounds crazy, it's just because you haven't done it yet. But if you aim to get the business so efficient and strategic from a business standpoint, now you got time, 10, 20 hours extra a week, you know, a day a week, however you want to look at it. One of my clients, he takes a day off, he's a musician, just to work on music for himself because he's streamlined his business. Now you could fiddle with your own projects for fun. You could do the documentary that's like, I'm going to make this like Oscar worthy. And there's no timetable on it. There's no rush or whatever, for free or paid or whatever. You get to scratch that itch too, because you deserve it, because you bought that opportunity by being more strategic in the business. And so when I see people that are like, oh, like you're just trying to box me into a business, I'm like, no, it's like Jeff Goins' book, like real artists don't starve. Like you shouldn't be starving. You shouldn't be struggling. You should figure out a way to monetize what you do more efficiently, more strategically, and run the business side so well so that you can play and you can have the fun and you can have the risk taking that may not make money. Like that's really, really important. I operate my business this way so that I can do a lot of things. One of those ways I play is getting coaching or joining masterminds or connecting with people that are like outside of my industry that I find interesting. And I want to have time in my calendar every week if I want to jump on calls with people that are doing crazy cool things. It doesn't necessarily pay me directly, or maybe it will, but like it expands my mind and it makes me more valuable as a coach and a person and as an author and thought leader. But like, I can't justify that financially, but that's why I run my business efficiently so I can go play over here. That's called playing for me, is just connecting with cool people and learning or reading a book. But that makes me more valuable in the long run. So you see how those things play together is all I wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I think even the idea of taking Fridays off, in the early days of me doing that, I found myself having lunch with friends. I'd go on a date on a Friday with my wife. I would even meet up with colleagues. I'm like, well, like I know this person through work, but we would have there's no agenda. Like, let's just be together. And it's just funny when you don't, at least for me, when I don't have this mindset of like, okay, I'm going to the networking thing tonight, so that's my job, is to network. Very different than like, hey, it's Friday. Oh, it's the day where I'm nobody's booking meetings. I'm just like, and I got this, I can do a 2-hour lunch with, whoever. It's a different energy when you're just like showing up to be present, the go-giver. Like, is there like, can I help this person at all? Is there like, let me ask good questions so that I can just uncover anything that, like an insight that I could share, or just anything that would be helpful. That flow has been so much more fulfilling and fun. And you might say, and plenty of people have said this, like, dude, like if you're not working on Friday, like, if you struggle with finances or anything like that, like the first thing you should do is work more, right? More effort,
right? So
that you can produce more. And what I found is that built in, no, I'm not doing the normal things that I would do Monday through Thursday. So much thinking about my business has happened that wouldn't happen during the week because I'm doing the tasks. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not falling behind. And Friday is like if I want to think strategically, if I want to, we always say, work on your business instead of just in your business. And, I'm at Costco or I'm hanging out, whatever, inevitably at some point I'm going to think like, oh, I should do that, or we should stop doing this in our business, or what about this? This is a good thing. I can't do that when, it's 2:00 on a Monday afternoon. I'm like, okay, I got to get to the next meeting, get to the next thing, next proposal, like all of those things. So even like the slowing down can seem like, oh, why are you doing that? But I think in the long run, that really does allow you to ramp things up in ways that you wouldn't really be able to justify unless you try them.
Absolutely. I love that. One of the things that I teach my clients is to design their dream week. Because the way I think about it is your dream business is just a bunch of stacked dream weeks. So if you can get a week that you love, a rhythm, a schedule, a flow for your, most of your weeks, then stack those together and you're going to have a dream business. So the way I think about it, there's 4 elements to a dream week. There's 4 things that every week needs. You need, and I start with recharge time, which is like selfish time to fuel yourself up, to whether that's like, I love reading books, or I love working out at Orange Theory Fitness, or I love going for long walks on Bayshore Boulevard, or playing video games, or if you play pickleball, like whatever. It doesn't have to be business related. You need something that fuels your cup as an individual. Recharge time. You need relationship time in your week. Again, you're like, what does it have to do with business? Like, this is so important, because recharge time is what's going to give you energy to fuel things, because you have to run off of energy. Relationship time is like, when am I going to spend time with my wife, my kids, my husband, my friends, my parents? You need relationships, because that's what we're built for. It's also going to give you the support, so you're not going to feel isolated, because we easily feel isolated. So you need the relationship time. When's that going to happen in your week? And then you need rainmaker time, which is the making it rain, right? That's the money making time, which that's not the same as posting on Instagram time, or getting back to people via email time, or checking your spreadsheets, or like, does that make it rain? Does that bring in the profit? Again, that goes back to the first thing we talked about. It may or may not. A lot of us are doing work for work's sake, as Tim Ferriss would call it. It's like busy work. So make sure there's time. That's why I've eliminated most of what I do, and I just do the things that drive the business forward. So you need to have some of that. You got to make it rain every week. And then the 4th thing, and this is what you were alluding to, is reflection time. When in your week do you take time, even if it's for 30 minutes, to reflect on what happened the previous week, what's going on in your head right now, what's happening in your business right now? Because reflection time is where you get insight, and insight is what allows you to make wise decisions. So, I've heard, maybe it was Rich Liffin that said, we don't learn from our experiences, we learn from reflecting on our experiences. And so there's a difference between, like, we had a great sale last week, or we had a rough week last week, or last month was down, or tariffs are changing this, or whatever's happening inside or out of your business or control. There's a difference between knowing what happened and then reflecting on it. And it's the reflection this is where the money is made. So it depends on your business. For me, my Mondays, ironically, I actually start my week with, I call it my thinking day. I don't do any work on Mondays. This is an exception, because this does feel like work to me. This is like talking with a friend. This is a Monday as we're taping this. But Mondays, I come in and I do everything that, this is all a bit of a recharge day also. Things that recharge, I learn. So I take courses, I read books. If I have a call with a coach, if I can schedule it on Monday, like, I'll do that. I'll fill up my brain, and then I'll look at like what's going on in my business. I look at my content analytics. Okay, well that video really did well, surprisingly, or that video bombed, but like, that's the best video I've done in 3 years, like, no doubt. Like, so what was it about the packaging of that video that people didn't see it as valuable enough to click on it, or whatever it is? I do this on Mondays so that I as a thought leader, I need to have thoughts. I need to think thoughts. There's a lot of people who run their mouth, don't have any formulated thoughts. I want to make sure that I'm processing and learning and growing and thinking and creating frameworks. I do a lot of this for my coaching clients. Like, I'll fiddle with frameworks, and I'll finalize them on Mondays, so that when I go into coaching calls on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and on Tuesdays when I record my podcast, I have something valuable to say, because that's what drives my business, is communicating. It might be different for your business, but the whole point is your week needs those 4 things. You need a recharge, relationship, rainmaker time, and reflection time. And you get to decide how much of each of those. It's not 25% each, when and where, but you got to have all 4 to ideally feel energized, to make money, to be connected and feel supported, and have enough insight and wisdom to know what to do in your business moving forward. If you could do that every week, you could do this for decades.
Oh, man. This is a good framework. The 4 R's, or we call it just kidding, but it's the framework of pirates. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, not sorry. The reflection time, I haven't heard it talked about like this. But even like one of my favorite things to do after every shoot and after every delivery to a client is like, hey, what went well on the shoot today? What didn't go well? And what was missing or what was confused? Inviting the team into that conversation, good. Making sure that my producer knows that, hey, ask this, even if we've hired contractors for let's just bring this so that we can start thinking about, and then hopefully out of that conversation comes you know what, if we do this job again next time, like let's do this and let's not forget that. And let's approach it like this so that we're more informed instead of, we're like a pinball, just kind of, okay, we did a shoot today. Okay, we got another one tomorrow. We got to get prepped for it. If we're not stopping to have that reflection time, man, there's so much value that can come out of that. Looking at your analytics. I mean, I don't want to ask the person listening to this episode to raise their hand, because I'm sure we all would raise our hands and be like, I don't make time to look at our analytics. I'm just too busy doing all of the things. I got to do the next thing. But when you stop and just look, has my email list grown this week? Have I gotten any new subscribers? And then saying, okay, what did we do that resulted in, okay, let's do more of this. You sent me a message I think it was right at the end of last year, or it was the beginning of this year. You're like, Ryan, 6 words for you. Do more of what is working. I got that right.
You got it. That's my business.
Okay, yeah,
business manifesto.
It's written on my sticky note right over there, so I see it when I'm sitting at that desk. And it's like the simplest, like, duh, yeah, okay. But if we don't know, the question is, what is working?
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of us could answer that honestly, where it would really be informed. It would just be like, well, I do a little bit of posting on Instagram, do a little bit of posting on YouTube, have client meeting, try to go network thing once a month or whatever. So yeah, it's all kind of working. It's like, yeah, but man, seriously, this is a masterclass, what you've brought to us today. If the only exercise that somebody did today was to do what you said at the beginning, to list out all the things that they're doing in their business and just say, what are the things that are working? And when we say working, are literally like, you can say, I do this activity or this thing, and this has brought me some business, whether it was a referral or a direct or whatever. And so, hey, let us like grab hold of you and shake you, and me too. Do more of that thing. Double down on that thing. We all love 10X is easier than 2X. And I think that's a lot of where it comes from. But if we don't know what is working, then we're just going to keep doing a little bit of all the things, hoping that something sticks.
So good. And think about multiple layers there. What is working not only to bring in profit, what is working to get in front of more prospects, what is working for your joy and your sustainability, because you can find what's working to make money, but it's not working for you. And that's when you have to have the cojones to say, no, I'm not going to do this because it makes money, because I also hate it. And it becomes a beautiful filtering mechanism, because we're thinking long-term here. We're not thinking what makes money right now. There's things that people will teach you how to do on the internet right now that will make you money right now. And that you could say this works, but you give up your soul, your ethics, or your physical body, because you have to just slave away. And so that will work short-term. I want to know what's going to work long-term. And it starts with what is working currently for the money making, for my joy, for my sustainability margin. For example, I'm getting into more public speaking. It's fun. I love it. We're trying to raise the speaker fee and do bigger and better. And I just love talking to people and delivering a powerful, 45-minute, 60-minute keynote that unlocks something for somebody. But even though that's working for my joy and it works for my bank account, because people will pay me good money to do it, it doesn't work very well for my family life, because it means I have to travel. It works a bit, but there's a limit. So in this season of life, with an almost 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, I'm not going to be doing a lot of traveling to speak on a stage, or I'm going to say, you got to pay me a lot of money to leave my house and leave my kids and my wife to do this, even though I want to do it. And I would do it for less money than I'm going to say the limit for, because right now it's not working for my season of life. But when I'm an empty nester, Shay and I, my wife had already talked about it. We already love traveling anyway. Without the kids at home, we'll probably just travel a lot more, and I'll take way more speaking gigs because we'll just combine it with trips, because that will work for that season. So this kind of question can go a million different ways. But the other side of the question that's implicit but not explicit in the question is, stop doing what isn't working. And if I could just leave with anything, I don't know where, because I know we are out of time, is one of the biggest things you could give yourself, and if you don't give it to yourself, I'll give it to you today, is permission to just stop doing the things that aren't working, the things that aren't actually putting money in your bank account, and the things you don't like doing anyway. I believe 9 out of 10 of us are doing things that we hate, that aren't producing revenue, just because we see everyone else doing it. That's an awful reason to do something. So let me give you permission. The world will not fall apart. Your business will not fall apart. The opposite will actually happen. You'll have more joy and more margin to do more of what is working, and your business is going to thrive.
Boom. I was going to, close this down and say, where can people find you, all of those things, and then have you share like one last thing. But that's it, dude. Like we'll just drop the mics, walk away. So good. And where can people listen to your show, get the books, follow you along? Where are you hanging out? What's the best place for somebody to connect with you?
Yeah, the Graham Cochrane Show on all your favorite podcast platforms and YouTube. The books are How to Get Paid for What You Know and Rebel, Find Yourself by Not Following the Crowd. Pick them up, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever books are sold. And Instagram's probably the only place I hang out occasionally on social media, at the Graham Cochrane.
Love it. Dude, so good. Man, yes, I'm so glad that we got to do this today, and love the insights. I took a bunch of notes, not surprised. I have some homework. Thank you. This has been a real treat.
Thank you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. You're helping a lot of people.
All right, that wraps up my conversation with Graham. I hope you are walking away with some serious clarity about what is working in your business, and that you would have permission to stop doing everything else. Your homework is simple and powerful. Make that list of everything that you do in your business daily, weekly, monthly. Then ask yourself, which of these activities actually put money in your pocket? Double down on those and start eliminating the rest. Okay, leave me a comment. Let me know what you're walking away with. If you need anything, you can always email me, which is ryan@studiosherpas.com. And if you like this show, hit me up with a review, leave some feedback on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen. But those are 2 great spots that help the algorithm and help spread the love of the show. Appreciate you, and rooting you on wherever you are at in your business and in life. I'm here for you, and just excited for all the things. Okay, take this. And I'll see you next time. What am I saying? What is happening right now? I don't know.